let us continue. Thus far, we've done a few, but there are many more to go. In terms of special characters, we are, I would say, 1/3 of the way through. So two more thirds, and we are done with this, and we can get on to, I guess, more important things. But all jokes aside, you do need to know this in order to be able to read the code. Anyway, next special character is one of the more commonly used ones, and that is the escape character, or as people tend to call it, backslash. But generally, it is referred to as an escape character. If, for example, a backslash is placed before a character within, let's say, an echo command, that tells the interpreter to interpret that particular character in front of which backslash has been placed literally. Let's go ahead and see what will happen. This is especially useful when you want to include double quotes in your output, which would be kind of difficult without it, or more likely impossible. So if I, for example, wish to type in echo, and I would like to output Linux is awesome, and I would like to output this in double quotes. So I would just like to wrap it around the quotes so that the output looks something like this. Linux is awesome. Look, this is how I would like my output to look like, with double quotes. Now let's see, can we achieve this like this? Right quit. Not right quit, just right. Let's run it. No, of course not. It's not going to output the quotation marks at all. But that's why we have the escape character. Yes. Okay. Insert. Right. So there. And there. Now, if we do this, look, it's gonna output the quote marks, double quote marks, without any problems. So we will have that. Also, it's a good idea to use this with some other commands. For example, if we were to use grep, let's go ahead and clear this and do ls --help. You see, you get a lot of things here, but we would only like to know what the capital U option does. How are we going to extract that from there? Well, we're going to use this and then pipe, which we're also going to deal with, pipe and then grep. And if we do this, capital U, no, nothing is going to be outputted. The grep is looking for some sort of a pattern that is passed here. Okay, so we can put this into quotation marks. Again, nothing is going to be outputted here. But if we do this, there you go. So grep is just pulling some sort of a pattern out of the standard output of the ls command. The standard output of ls command is being pushed into grep command, and then grep is looking for something to pull out, to grep out of there. And then you're giving it a pattern to pull out. But you see how escape characters can be useful even in trivial matters like these, and this is actually something that you will tend to use quite often. Oh, well, the encoding of one video has been just completed. That was the notification in the upper middle corner, in the upper middle portion of the screen. But anyway, you see how an escape character can be useful there as well. The following, what follows it immediately is the character called slash, which you are going to use probably very often. You can see it. I use it down here every single time I want to execute a command. // is pretty much for the execution of the command. Also, you would specify. You would use it to separate, for example, the certain components of a file name. If, let's say, you want to use the command change directory, and then you go to /home/ chronic /documents. By the way, if you're wondering how am I typing so fast, I am not. If you press tab once, if you press tab once like this, you see, it actually finishes it for you. If you press it once, if there's only one option available. But if there are more options available, and if you press tab, nothing's going to come out. But if you press it twice, it's going to give you a list of possibilities. So you can just type in 2 or 3 letters of one of these possibilities and then press tab again, and it's going to finish it for you. So it's a really fast way of typing. That's one of the ways in which slash is used. But also, for example, but you would also use it in order to divide 2 numbers. So we can perform some sort of an arithmetic operation with the let command. So we type in, oops, I clicked on the terminal. Oh, there we go. So let space some sort of a value. So we're going to just use a short version, val, equals, I don't know, 500 divided by 2. And then we're just going to echo out val. Of course, this would not work. Why? Because we need to reference the value. And there we go. It's 250. See the script execution, and it's 250. One more time. There go, 250. So this is used for division. We have used it in the previous tutorials. I just didn't mention it, but it goes without saying this is one of the simpler ones. The next character that we're going to do is, well, not something that you would consider to be even a special character, but oh well. It's the backquote. It basically acts as some sort of a substitution for something. It takes the output of a command and it assigns it to a variable. So we can recycle this example and use it like this. So we have let val equals 500 divided by 2, echo val, that is 250. But now we would like to define val, val 2. So some sort of a, well, we're not going to define it as val2. How shall we define this? Some sort of a number. Let's go ahead and state that this is a num. Or why not val2? Why not? Why not? Why not? Equals, simpler this way, val2. And then this shall be equal to the variable $val. So this shall be equal to 250. How shall we do that? Well, we can output the value of val, and then we can put it in single reverse quotes like this. And do you believe me that now 250 will become the value will become the stored value of variable 2, of value 2, however you wish to refer to it. So right. Right. Sorry, did not echo it out. Let's go ahead and type echo val2. The quotation mark's not really necessary here, but hey, why not? See, again, it is 250. This comes in handy in some sort of more complex things where you need to, for example, take take something from the standard output and then place it into one of your variables in order to process it for a function, for example. It's not as complex as it seems, trust me. So the next character is a colon or a null command. Generally referred to as do nothing operation. Believe it or not, something like that is of use to us, and you will be using it, I assure you. Here's an example. I know it's a bit of an abstract term to actually come to terms with, to tell the program to do nothing, and you might wonder, well, why would I tell it to do nothing? Well, let's just use some sort of a variable, and let's say that that variable is equal to 20. And let's use an if condition, this time in a normal fashion. So we're just going to say that this var is lesser than 15, let's say. Is it lesser than 15? No, it is absolutely not lesser than 15. It is greater than 15. But hold on. We will say then, so if it is a lesser than 15, then I want you to do nothing. Else, then I want you to do nothing else. Echo, not num, sorry, var, and then I would like you to finish the if statement. Okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, so echo 20, 20 is lesser than 15. But let's change the condition. Let's say 20 is not lesser than 15. Therefore, the else part of the if statement will be executed. But let's write something that is true, that will evaluate the true. So it's greater than 15. Is 20 greater than 15? Yes, of course. And that is the first case, then. So if you don't want anything to happen, if this is true, how would you do that? Well, you would just use the null command. Here you go. Nothing happens. So it's greater, so fine, don't do anything. Just leave it as it is. Now, colon, it can also be used in conjunction with a redirection operator. For example, to truncate file's length to 0 if the file exists, or if the file, for example, is not in existence, it will create it. I need to give you an example again, because this is a bit of an abstract thing to just talk about like this. You need to show it. If we had a file, let's create a file with touch. So this will just create a basic file. It's not a folder. So we will name this file, how shall we name this file? We'll name this file wood.txt, just for the sake of it. We don't need a txt extension, but we'll just name it for the sake of it. And if, for example, if that file had something written in it, for example, if we go ahead and do, oh, by the way, here's a very nice way of redirecting things. If you type in echo, and if you do this, and sorry, let's go ahead and here is something. Use it. There we go. Now we would like to redirect the output of the echo command, the standard output, into a certain file. So wood.txt. Excellent. So it has been redirected. Now we would like to output the contents of the wood onto the screen. So we can use the cat command. Cat wood.txt. And you can see here is something. Use it. But if we were to type like this, something else, and if we were to cat the wood again, you see the entire contents of the file gets replaced with what you have just written. How would you then add to this? Well, you would just use double greater than sign, something else, something more. There you go, something else, and then something more. Both have been added to the file. So very, very simple and very clean way of doing it. But what, for example, if you wanted to empty this file completely, well, wood.txt, enter, cat, wood.txt, the file is empty. It's completely clean. So you use colon, greater than, and wood. So you've basically done the same thing with echo. You've redirected the output of this into this file. And what does this represent? This represents nothing. So you redirected the output of nothing into wood.txt file. Therefore, the the wood.txt file has practically become completely empty. Similar to this, you can also use the colon in combination with double greater than sign, which is also a redirection operator, and the file would remain unchanged. However, if the file didn't exist, then it would be created. For example, let's go ahead and remove wood completely. You can see it's not there anymore. And let's go ahead and redo this command. And let's do ls. You can see that wood.txt is clearly there. So it exists. But what if you did the double greater than sign? And let's just go ahead and type in vim, or not. Let's just scroll up here. What do we got? Okay, we filled it up with something. Now we've used this to delete everything. But if we use the double greater than sign, now let's go ahead and cat wood. You see, it has remained completely unchanged because you have just added nothing to something. That something will remain exactly the same, as nothing new has been really added to it. So very, very simple, no big deal. You can there's a failsafe option that it will create a file if it doesn't exist, etc. Not that complex. Anyway, I'm going to call the tutorial here, and we are going to go ahead and continue with some more characters in the follow-up.